His stand-up tour, One in Every Crowd, will move on later on this month to Port City Music Hall in Portland, Maine, where you know all about that, Christopher Brockman, being a Maine guy over there.
Portland, Maine.
December 2nd, Higher Ground in South Burlington, Vermont, and then a 4-date night of December 14th through the 17th at the American Conservatory Theater in San Francisco, California. Colin Quinn here on the program. Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you, Rich.
Big fan, sir.
Thanks, same here.
Been for quite some time. So now
Thanks.
you're from Brooklyn, right?
Yes.
Okay, from Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah.
I'm just going to jump straight into it here.
Okay.
I'm from Staten Island.
Yes, I know.
Okay.
S-I-N-Y.
S-I-N-Y. A fifth but forgotten borough here in New York City.
Yeah.
There are some who believe Marlon Wayans was on the show last week, said it's not part of New York City. Technically, he slagged on Staten Island.
I don't know if he'd have the nerve to say that in front of the Wu-Tang Clan, but yeah.
It's funny that you say that because we did have Method Man on 2 weeks before.
Oh, boy.
And I asked Marlon if he would ever say that to Method Man. He did. And there was a Twitter beef that actually started, which is one of my gregreatest accomplishments in my entire career in life.
Yeah.
That I was in the midst of a Twitter beef.
Next to the East Coast, West Coast feud, you start a feud between them and their families. Because there's more Wayanses than there are members of Wu-Tang.
There you go. So what is your take on Staten Island here in New York City?
Yeah, I mean, Staten Island's always had its own personality. Basically, it's a social club with a bridge. And, you know.
That's a great one. That's a good one. Well, there's four
bunch
bridges,
of guys in
right?
beach chairs going, hey, listen, who's coming across the Verrazano? And, yeah, I mean, Staten Island's always been... you can't really put it into any category. It's not New Jersey, it's not Brooklyn, but it's a little bit of both. You know,
It's true.
it's always been a psychotic place. You know,
It's like
Yeah,
that's where I'm from.
yeah. Everybody, well, you know better than everybody from
Right.
Staten Island knows what I'm saying is true.
Yeah, it's true. A social club with a bridge is a great way to describe
Yeah.
it. That is exactly what we are.
And like I said, I went to the Factory and I went to the Snoopy's, like back when those were the clubs back
Right.
in the early '80s.
You did stand up there? Is what
No,
you did?
no, I was just going there to socialize. Had a couple of rough incidences. One,
Yes.
yeah, because that was like the big hot rock club.
Uh-huh.
That was for the rock club. It's really an Italian disco borough. Like, but there was one rock club for the Irish kids from Richmond. You know,
Sure.
Port Richmond. And
Port
yeah, I had a couple of friends that grew up there.
My dad taught at Port Richmond.
Oh, he did? Yeah.
Yeah, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
But it's yeah.
I do remember growing up in Staten Island that somebody would drive down my street, Harold Street in Staten Island, in their Cadillac, hit the horn, and the theme from The Godfather would come on.
It should come up when you actually cross the Verrazano. When you pay the toll, that's when it should come up.
Your $20 toll, that sort of thing.
Oh my God, yeah.
So did you ever? What's your favorite spot to do stand up in?
And one time I met Nick Fatiu too. Speaking of
Nick
us,
Fatiu.
he's a Staten Island guy.
He was the Ranger enforcer
King of Staten Island, yeah.
in the days of Ron Duguay with the flowing
With Duguay,
hair.
I met him with Duguay. Yeah.
So you grew up in the Garden? Did you grow up in the Garden?
No. I just happened to run into them at this thing.
No, but it's just going to Madison Square Garden as a kid.
No, I would just watch the games. You know, the Brad Park era, those early days of
Wow.
And I went to Jean Rattel, all the
Yeah.
And then and I went to a couple of Knicks games when I was a kid, but I haven't really gone to as many. You know, I watch once it's on TV, you get too lazy.
Yeah. So you
And I feel like my theory on the Knicks, if I could just
Please.
switch for 1 second,
Yes, Colin Quinn.
is that since they cursed themselves by trying to be like LA and having celebrities sit on the sidelines, they never used to have celebrities. Woody Allen and Spike Lee jinxed the Knicks.
Those two
That's
together.
my theory.
Well, you want to
What
throw,
else could it be?
You want to throw Dustin Hoffman in there too? Didn't he always
Yes,
used to be
early
like
on, yes.
courtside during the
Knicks-
Walt Frazier years and all that stuff?
Yeah, I feel like they all front ran in 1970 and started going to Knicks games. Before that, the Knicks were golden.
So who else do we throw in this mix? McEnroe? Do we throw McEnroe in that?
We'll have to
mix
throw
here?
John in there, even though I know him. But still, anybody that goes to a lot of Knicks games is in there. Get away! You're jinxing them. It's bad energy. It's LA energy. LA's supposed to have celebrities at the game. That's their thing.
Yeah.
New York is supposed to, I listened to their last game when I was a little kid on the radio, 7th game with Willis Reed in that famous game.
Mm-hmm.
And I swear to God, I feel like I saw the whole game,
So are you Yankee or Met?
Mets, like anybody from Brooklyn, Queens. You know what? Another question, Staten Island.
Yes.
Because Brooklyn, Queens, Long Island, if you're not a Jets and a Mets fan, you're kind of a disloyal person.
Right.
You're not supposed to be Yankees just because they're a great team.
Right.
But what about Staten Island? Where do they fall?
It's kind of right in the middle.
What, the Devils and the...
Well, no, I don't know. I don't know any Devils fans, by the way.
You don't?
I don't know a single fan of the New Jersey Devils. I've never met one. I don't know what they look like at all. But it used to be when the Jets and the Mets played in Shea, and the Yankees and the Giants played in Yankee Stadium. But that's a different era now. Now they all have their own buildings, and now so you'll see a lot more Yankee Jet or Met Giant hybrids than you've ever seen before. It used to be just straight up from where they used to play their games.
Yeah.
Not anymore. Now you got the Nets in Brooklyn. You got the Giants and the Jets in the same house.
Well, that's still the weirdest thing ever, by the way. You know how long it's been? 35 years.
Isn't that crazy?
It's ridiculous. Why are they not playing at Citi Field?
That's a good question. Well, ask the Mets.
It's ridiculous.
Don't you have an in with the Mets, Colin?
I don't. With Jerry?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I could.
Does Seinfeld? I mean, could he make a pitching change if he wants to? Best you know, with Seinfeld.
I honestly believe that if he wanted to, he probably could.
Like if he's at the game, and Syndergaard is struggling,
right?
He knows he could make a call and make the change.
Yeah, he could probably get Syndergaard to cut his hair. But the Knicks, I'm the only one that should be allowed to go to the Knicks game. By the way, I was at a Knicks game in the front because there were a lot of people at some thing on the West Coast.
Right.
During me and my nephew, and he goes, "This guy's coming in is good." Jeremy Lin. We were there for the first game of Linsanity.
Linsanity.
Courtside, Linsanity.
So, but doesn't that poke a little bit hole in your theory?
It doesn't, because I don't consider myself a celebrity. I consider myself. I was a New York guy, or I just don't. I consider myself above that in some way. It's like reverse snobbery. And by the way, LeBron made me sick yesterday getting on the subway. That infuriated me.
Well, I want to take a break. Come back because you were in Trainwreck also with LeBron. Colin Quinn here on the Rich Eisen Show. We'll touch upon LeBron James and more with Colin Quinn again. One in every crowd stand-up tour. Check it out. I am Colin Quinn on Twitter as well. We're back with Colin here in New York City. And again, your phone calls in 60 seconds. All right, welcome back to the show. 844-204-RICH is the number to dial. We're here in New York City. We'll take your calls shortly. Colin Quinn, another couple of minutes here with Colin here in studio. How did you get hooked up with Saturday Night Live back in the day?
A friend of mine, Fred Wolf, was writing on it. He goes, "You guys should go see him. Lawrence saw me. I bombed brutally, so he hired me as a writer."
What do you mean? He saw you do stand-up?
Like he saw me do stand-up, and I bombed. So it was one of the most brutal bombs, and I bombed plenty. But he liked my writing. He said, "Oh, he's a good writer." He could tell.
Okay, so then how'd you work your way from writing into...
Weasel my way into the show.
Yeah, how'd you do that?
Just because it was new, and everybody's just throwing different stuff out, so they let me try a couple of things.
Like what? What was the big breakthrough?
I did these things called Joe Blow, which is really almost a Staten Island guy. Yeah. It was a guy from Ridgewood at the time in the 90s.
Right.
And so it was like a regular guy. And then I did this lion character who was a lion that was just coming out of rehab. So I was doing these things on Update.
A lion coming...
Yeah, it was like a rehab lion. So I'm like, hey, he's like, well, detox lion. It was,
It's with Norm.
with Norm.
Norm
Yeah,
would do
yeah.
that. Yeah.
So I did a couple of things.
Do you follow Norm on Twitter?
Sure.
Do you follow his golf
painstaking golf updates every 4 seconds?
He's like, here's Spieth for par, and then he'll be like, he pars with 15 exclamation points.
I know, it's like
he's constantly.
Who is that for? That's what I'm wondering.
I don't know. Is it for you?
It's for Norm. It's only for Norm. Yeah. No, it's infuriating. But I guess it's kind of performance art. Only he's not kidding. He's watching every game and every go and just does it.
He's probably got something on it too, right?
I feel.
Knowing him, he's got something.
We can safely assume there's more writing on it than there is for the readers. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. That's why he's doing exclamation points for games that are blowouts that all of a sudden become closer in the last second. And Norm Macdonald's like, yes.
Yeah. But he's like, what's he so excited about?
Right. Oh my gosh. So you did and then you took over from Norm?
Yeah.
What? Because that was a little bit awkward, right? At the time?
Yeah, it was really ugly.
When Norm got the gate and they turned to you to fill in for him?
Yeah.
What was that like at the time?
It was awkward, like you said. It was ugly.
Yeah.
It felt weird.
Mm-hmm.
It was a weird energy.
Okay. Sort of like recounting it right now, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, I'm just being honest. What am I going to say? Hey, it all worked out. It was a weird energy. I'll be honest.
It's pretty
telling you the truth.
Okay. So then what was your favorite news update moment where somebody would come on and with a character?
Was those things
whatever?
I mentioned before, like the lion and the Joe Blow thing. Doing it with Norm was my favorite news moment.
No kidding.
Yeah, by far.
Okay.
By far.
What about anybody else who would come on because you were there?
Bill Murray came on once. That was kind of wild.
Okay, what did he do?
Because I'd seen him as a kid doing his update stuff.
Right.
It was so funny because he didn't care. Like, it was just kind of old school. Like he was like so
Right.
casual and just funny in this Bill Murray way, you know.
Right.
When it was like so exciting to see that, you know, to be next to it.
Colin Quinn here on the Rich Eisen Show. Okay, so you were in Trainwreck. Were you on the set at all when LeBron was there, or your scenes were?
No, my
different
scenes were not with LeBron at all.
Right,
But,
so-
I actually did scenes with Method Man that we mentioned before.
Huh.
And but I did no scenes with LeBron. I saw him at the after party, and I was like moving past him, and I was like gonna say hello, and then he just gave a little look like, oh, another fan, and I was like, I guess you didn't see the movie Move before I drop you. It's infuriating.
That was it?
He's infuriated me ever since.
That was it?
I don't know. Somebody might have introduced us. Maybe we said a brief, you know, hello.
Okay.
A curt. I probably gave him a curt hello.
A curt hello.
And a half a handshake. Like, you ever see Ray Liotta and Goodfellas and he shakes hands at the tennis club? That's probably what I gave him.
You gave him one of those.
Yeah.
All right. So there really was no interaction.
There was
with
no love
LeBron at
lost.
all.
No.
Oh, okay. So you said you had a take on his
Well,
subway
now
ride,
I'm
or-
happy I didn't get to be friendly with him because apparently he's got a problem in New York.
No.
Walking around on the subway. I didn't like his or the whole team's mocking attitude on the subway. Like, we're living it up on the subway. Something about it bugged me. And then he said he's the king of New York, which is heresy. you
Right.
know.
That is true. But I kind of dig it, man. I mean, it's the sort of I miss the 90s Knicks. I miss
Yes.
the 90s Knicks where Oakley would put people on their ass for even
Right.
attempting to come down the lane.
Like James Dolan.
Yeah. I honestly have nothing but contempt for that guy.
Right.
I already said I will not go back to Madison Square Garden.
Really?
With my kids, which kind of pains me. They're wearing Celtics stuff at home, and I cannot, in good conscience, go to that place after Charles Oakley got his butt dragged out of there,
Right.
and then he made him stay a night in jail.
Oh, he did? He
can't-
spent a night in jail? I didn't even know that.
I can't handle it.
That's crazy.
But I miss that. And
I
so,
miss those 90s Knicks. Larry Johnson.
Yeah,
all those
like,
guys.
Grandmama and all those guys. And so, but at least this week kind of felt like that, the way that they
It did.
stood
It
up
was
to him and then, of
him and the
course,
Turk.
caved in the fourth quarter.
The Turk and the French guy. I know.
The Turk and the French guy. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like the United Nations.
The Turk and the French guy really stood up to LeBron. But here's what I don't like, okay? This is just my own theory.
Yes.
And I hated when Jordan did it.
Yeah.
When you're LeBron or Jordan, you don't get to trash talk people. You're the greatest player. You're in the top 5 of all time. You're the greatest player in the league right now.
Yeah.
You know, I used to see Jordan walking up court like trash talking. So guys like, yeah, I know you're Jordan. You scored on me.
Right.
No one's surprised.
That's right.
You don't get to trash talk when you're those guys.
So you don't like him.
You're not allowed to.
I kind of, like I said, I thought it was fun. And that moment on the subway.
I agree, it is fun.
The moment on the subway
When the
was
guy-
one of the most New York moments.
Right.
Where the guy does not know who he is and just doesn't want to be on the phone of LeBron James. It does not
Right.
matter. And I just loved it on the New York subway
I thought it was great
system.
too. He's like, yeah, don't put me on your stupid
Yeah, the
thing.
paranoia, the New York paranoia that was on display.
No, I love that part.
Even when there's like 9-7-foot guys just
Right.
walked onto the subway.
I know.
And they're right there with their phones, and dude's like, I don't even want to be on here. Get me out of here.
I know.
I
The
thought that
attitude
was great.
was great.
Colin Quinn here on the Rich Eisen Show. Okay, so who's the best stand-up of all time? Who do you think?
I mean, to most of us, certainly
Yes.
I'm speaking for everybody. I'll speak for everybody. It's Pryor and George Carlin. Those are the guys that just transcend any,
Lenny Bruce on that
And Lenny
too?
Bruce,
Who's
even
on
though
the-
a lot of people are like, oh, Lenny Bruce wasn't that funny. Lenny Bruce changed the game like nobody else did. So you have to give credit to that.
So it's Lenny Bruce, Richard Pryor. If it's the Mount Rushmore, that's what we like
Lenny
to do in
Bruce,
sports.
Richard Pryor, George Carlin.
And who's the fourth?
Maybe Don Rickles. I mean, Don Rickles was not material. His material wasn't great,
Right,
but he was just so funny every time out. You know what I mean?
right.
That you just have to put him somewhere.
Whose talk show do you always want to do the most because of the stand-up friendly environment of somebody's talk show, late night show? Is there anybody in particular?
No, nobody's.
Nobody's.
I mean, which one do I want to do? You mean?
No, which one that you have done that you thought it was always fun to do?
I don't
because-
care. I mean, I don't care about that stuff. I mean,
okay.
stand up for. I mean, I feel once again, I'm only speaking for all comedians everywhere,
Yes.
but I feel like talk shows you have to be kind of on. You have to cover everything and just you have to be in your best behavior. Whereas when you're doing stand up, it's more like the way we're talking now.
So you're in your best behavior right now?
No, I'm saying the good thing about doing this is you're kind of
Okay.
casual
Okay, good.
talking. You're trying to be
Good.
funny, but you really, But on stand up, it's like, it's just too formal for my taste. And I think most comedians feel that way.
Okay.
You have to get dressed up.
'Cause I know-
Nothing worse than seeing a young comic who's great, and his first time on TV, he's got a suit, and he's like this.
Right.
and still, it's
Well,
weird.
I did see that Norm was Letterman's choice to be his last
Yes.
stand-up. I thought that was pretty.
That was a
neat.
funny bit, too, about
That was great.
World War II.
Well, which one? The funniest bit I thought of Norm's that he said was how your phones change everything now.
Right.
That is a picture. He's got one grainy picture of his great-grandfather, like separating the hogs on the farm.
Right.
But now, because everybody's got a phone right now, somebody from years from now, here's 1 million pictures of my great-grandfather doing
Right.
everything in their life.
And Norm's face when he did his grandfather.
Yeah, so he's just-
horrified that someone's taking his picture. Like, just looking like in
Yeah.
shock, like, don't take my picture.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a great bit.
I know.
But didn't he do the Hitler bit too about it? Where
No, it
Germany
was-
challenges the world. And then they fought the world again.
Yeah, those are isn't Hitler a comedy killer though? Wouldn't that be one of those things? That
No,
you
you
can't-
kidding me?
Well-
Hitler's like, there's no comedy killer nowadays. You know what I mean?
Not anymore.
I feel like just the opposite. I feel like there's almost fake shock sometimes where it's like people, you know what I mean? So it's
Right.
like, that's almost like a comedy helper in some ways.
Right.
Not the way Norm did it. That was a different bit. That was a brilliant bit.
So did you guys, Del Tufo? Did you guys know the same people? Did I
Yeah,
hear that
we
when
knew
you
a
sat
couple
down?
of the same people.
Yeah,
back
we
in the
do,
day.
from MTV.
MTV, yeah.
We know from MTV in the
From
late
back in
80s.
your, from back at your remote control days.
Yep, the
Yeah.
late 80s.
I did
Great
one
show.
Daytona. I think you were at.
Yeah, I was at 2 Daytonas.
Yeah, 88,
88, 89,
88,
I think. Or
89.
90.
Yeah.
What were you doing-
Daytona.
what were you doing at Daytona?
We had spring break MTV stuff.
701 South, the club right in the
Yeah.
big gigantic. Oh,
That had to
amazing.
be insane.
It was insane. I'll tell you who's, speaking of athletes,
Yeah.
who was always there, judged every contest, Jim Kelly. I saw Jim Kelly and everything. God bless him.
God bless Jim
You know what I
Kelly.
mean?
Well, Jim Kelly, great story about Jim, okay, is at the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. They used to have a stage that the guys would just sit there in the hot sun and they would sit there and do nothing, just roast while all the speeches were going on. So Jim basically said, "Hey, we need some beverages here. You know, like we gotta." So they would have something off to the side that they would sometimes get up. You'd wonder where are these Hall of Famers going. They go off to the side, and Jim would have all these beers and everything set up right there
Love it.
until they built a new stage. Now it's underneath. There's like a Jim Kelly like green room underneath the stage where these guys speak. And then the year that he missed a little bit of time because he had cancer in
Right,
his
I
mouth,
know.
and he's doing well right now. Knock on wood. We came back the one year he came back, and he was there, and everybody thought maybe Jim might not be there because of his health. We were there one night in a hotel in Canton, and he was behind a bar. And
I love it.
Yeah, there was one bartender who was very overwhelmed, and everyone was in there.
Yeah,
and-
'cause
and
it was too
service
many
was
people.
really
And
slow. There
Jim
was too
came in
many-
to help him out.
and Jim got behind
Yeah.
the bar and
Greatest
started
guy.
serving drinks.
oh yeah, oh yeah, and you might say how some service where some bars where you got that little cup. You pour it in the cup.
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
that
yeah.
little
Cup
thing, and then
away.
No cup.
Jim was just
Free
he
pouring.
was seriously
Just pouring.
he was like Tom Cruise in Cocktail. He was just flipping things around. and just
The
pouring
owner's
down.
going, don't help. You're costing me more money.
Jim is as real as it gets. man.
Speaking of spring break and Buffalo Bills, by the way.
Yeah.
So one time they go like this, and I have no psychic. I never had this intuitive psychic moment.
Yeah.
They go, middle of the afternoon, crowded with people, coming out of a limo with a girl. You want to meet OJ? I go, yeah, I'd love to meet OJ. I shook his hand, and my whole body was like shocked with like evil. Middle of the afternoon. he didn't even look at me, and I was like, that was weird. I loved OJ. He was the greatest running back of all time.
When was this? Back in the
Back in the
Yeah,
MTV, probably
everybody went to
1990.
those. That was a place to be.
Damn.
Yeah, it was,
Those-
everybody used
a
to go
couple
there.
weeks.
Remote
yeah.
Control was such a fun show too.
Oh yeah, it was fun. It was the only thing I've ever done was as easy as it looks. Like we would just show up and just start, and talking. And,
That's what it
everything
looked like.
else is like, hey, you got to make it look easy. It's like, no, this really was.
This is really what it was.
So much fun.
All right, so I am Colin Quinn on Twitter. Go ahead and follow him. Check him out again. Port City Music Hall in Portland, Maine on the 30th of this month and December 2nd in South Burlington, Vermont. And then the middle of December, 4 dates at the American Conservatory Theater in San Francisco, California. Like I told you, big fan. Thanks for
Hey,
coming
man,
on.
thanks,
man.
Rich.
You
Thanks
got it.
so much.
You got it. Colin Quinn here on The Rich Eisen Show.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.